Hey boys, it's HarmNone. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some of the best sounding cars in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now, I tried to pick some ones that you guys might not have heard of. However, there are a very limited amount of different car sounds in GTA Online, so there is going to be some overlap, and chances are you've probably heard every single sound on this list. It might just not be from the exact car that I have picked for this list. I also want to say this list is not in any particular order. I'm just going to be starting at a certain point and ending at a certain point. Not really saying what car sounds better than another, except for probably number one, and that will probably let you know what car it is already, because I think everyone pretty much agrees. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed the video, if you learned something, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Consider subscribing to my channel if you guys are new as well. I'm going for 300,000 this year, and if you want to help me get there, I would appreciate it. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the first car on the list. And up first, we have the Albany Frankenstange, coming in at $550,000. Unfortunately, this vehicle is removed and it is kind of a special Halloween vehicle, so it's only available at certain times a year. However, you can buy it from another player. Anyways, let's take a listen to it. Next up, I've picked the Grotti Carbonizere, coming in at $195,000. This thing's from 2013 and it sounds pretty darn good. It's also a convertible with a tiny bit of customization, and the performance isn't that amazing overall, but it is definitely a fun car to drive around, and the exhaust sound that it makes is really, really good. Here we have the Lampadaddy Viserys, which is unfortunately a removed vehicle, and it goes for $875,000. So if you want this, you gotta wait for it to come back into GTA Online or buy it from another person. Maybe you can link up with somebody in the comment section down below. Next up here we have the Coquette Blackfin, coming in at $695,000, and unfortunately this is yet another removed vehicle, so you're gonna have to wait for it to come back into the game or purchase it from another player. It sounds really, really good though. I'm a big fan of this car. I think it's awesome. Up next, we have the Bravado Verliero, and I know I pronounced that wrong. Thank you, Germans, for telling me in the comment section down below. $695,000 for this thing, and unfortunately, yet again, it is a removed vehicle, but it does sound really, really good. The customization is also pretty cool, and the performance generally is actually quite nice, at least for free mode. I think it's a pretty cool car, and I would definitely recommend picking it up. And here we have the Lampadaddy Casco coming in at $680,000 if you have the trade price. If you don't, it's going to be $904,400. This thing shares the sound with the JB700, but it has its own little uniqueness to it, I think, and I think it sounds really good personally. Of course, you knew it was going to make an appearance on the list, but we have the Benefactor Shafter V12 for $116,000. This thing sounds phenomenal. It's arguably one of the very best sounding cars in the entire game. It's a four-door. There's nothing to not like about this vehicle. Coming up next, we got the Dubachi JB700, coming in at $350,000, relatively cheap, honestly, and this thing sounds awesome. It's really, really cool. It kind of shares a little bit with the Blackfin and some other cars, but overall, I think it sounds really good.
G'day.
Of course, you knew the XA21 was going to be making the list, coming in at $2,375,000, and it shares the same sound as the Lampadaddy Komoda and Cinque Mila, as well as a couple of other cars. This thing's awesome though, and it is a supercar, and it does have an active rear spoiler, which is really cool. Up next, we got the Lampadaddy Furore GT coming in at $440,000. Unfortunately, yet another removed vehicle. So again, if you do want it, you're going to have to find a player who owns it or wait for it to get re-released into GTA Online through the dealerships. Next up, we have the quite expensive Karen Sultan RS for $975,000. However, it sounds really awesome, and it shares a sound with the Ennis Elegy Retro Custom as well as a few other JDM sort of cars. It sounds really good though, definitely one to look into for sure. Up next, we have a really cheap car, the Bravado Buffalo S, coming in at $96,000. A lot of people forget about this thing, and a lot of people forget it exists now that we have the Bravado Buffalo STX, and I believe they do share a sound, but this one's super cheap, so if you want it, it's that cheap. Up next, we have a personal favorite of mine. This is the Adder, and it goes for $1 million. I think this thing has a really aggressive and like guttural sound to it. It sounds really, really mean. And if you bounce off the rev limiter repeatedly, I think it just sounds really, really cool. Definitely a cool car. Definitely one I would recommend looking into. Up next, Pegasi Zentorno coming in at $725,000. This thing is largely here just due to the insane startup noise that it has, but it does sound pretty good generally too, and it's got some nice customization and overall performance. For 725 grand, you really cannot go wrong. The Albany VST-R has also made the list for $1,285,000. This thing's awesome. Definitely one of the coolest cars in GTA Online, especially if you like drifting and sliding around. This thing's awesome for that, but it also happens to sound pretty good and have some really nice customization. Also, we have the Grotti Turismo R on the list for $500,000, and similar to the Zentorno, it sounds pretty good, but the main reason it's here is due to the insane startup noise that this thing possesses. Take a listen to this. And of course, I think it's pretty hard to argue the best sounding car in Grand Theft Auto Online, the Benefactor Sterling GT for $975,000. I think you'd be really hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't think the Sterling GT is the best sounding car we have in GTA Online. This thing sounds crazy, and with HSW now that it has on the new gen platform, it actually has some performance to it as well, at least on those platforms. Anyway guys, there you have it. That has been my list of the best sounding cars in Grand Theft Auto Online. Let me know if you think I missed anything in the comment section down below, and maybe I'll make another one of these videos if you guys are interested. If you made it to the end of the video, comment a 7 down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, dislike if you didn't. Subscribe to my channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.